So for those who don't know à-bas-le-ciel, he made a video recently, another video discussing his views on pet ownership. And he mentions that the criticisms of his views that he has heard, that they aren't worthy of a response, including my video that I did talking about pet ownership, which he calls beneath contempt and stupid.
Honestly, right now I regret even discussing this in this video because I do think my earlier videos on this subject raised a really important argument, and I don't think I've seen even one person respond to the substance of that argument in a way that's interesting or merits any further reply or comment on my point. And of course, for those of you who know, that includes Unnatural Vegan. I mean, obviously I appreciate that Unnatural Vegan has shown me support in my recent dealing with threats of violence, defamation, with the ridiculous catastrophe that went down in Chiang Mai. But no, what she has to say about this topic, there is not even one sentence of it that I think merits serious intellectual introspection, reflection, or critique. To me, what she has to say on this topic is beneath contempt, and it is, in a word, stupid.
À-bas-le-ciel.
In the same vein, he also talks about Peter Singer in his video, and he says that Singer has never made any arguments that Eisel found, compelling or inspiring or worthy of being taken seriously.
What Peter Singer has to say is so stupid, is so totally beneath contempt, that I see nothing in it that's worth talking about or replying to. That is how I feel now. Honestly, that's how I've always felt. I don't know what set of circumstances led to him being celebrated in the mainstream media as a major voice. He's not even really a voice for veganism, but for vegetarianism of some sort. I'm sorry, but I mean, neither in his formal writing nor in his informal interviews have I ever heard like one sentence from that guy that I respect or that I find inspiring or that I can take seriously, or even that I regard as really worthy of the kind of critique that I've offered to other people on this channel.
A few moments later.
What should have been just a private correspondence between him and me has now been made public. It's a position that's made even more awkward by the fact that he has not granted me permission to share the email exchange in this video. So in Eisel's Unnatural Vegan Hates Me video, he basically presents my response, my email, as me having hurt feelings because he disagreed with me and because he called, my arguments stupid. As many of you who commented on the video already guessed, this was not my concern at all. I have no problem with Eisel disagreeing with me. I've disagreed with numerous points he's made in past videos. He's disagreed with me on numerous stuff. It's never been a problem because ultimately I saw his channel as promoting a pragmatic approach to veganism, which is very important to me. And he also doesn't spew like anti-science shit, anti-vax stuff, crazy diets, any of that kind of stuff. I also have no problem with Eisel calling my arguments stupid or beneath contempt. There are plenty of asinine, disturbing beliefs out there that we all feel the same way about, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that an argument is stupid, beneath contempt, whatever other adjective you would like to use. My issue is with Eisel's flippant dismissal of the argument. He says in the video that he believes pet ownership is an important topic that he wants to discuss, yet when others, including myself, try to discuss it by sharing our own views, he waves them away without explaining why. It's unconstructive, and it suggests to me that he's only interested in discussion when he thinks he can win. You know, in this case, it seems he can't actually counter the argument and is just simply unwilling to admit that he was wrong.
These animals are desert natives and consume their water from their prey as free water is scarce. Since water is often unavailable in sufficient quantities, cats are able to conserve body water by concentrating their urine. Now, when you give a cat a dry kibble diet, they are not getting water from their food and their urine is constantly concentrated. And in my opinion, these cats often live their lives in a state of subclinical dehydration. Granted, there is an ethical component to veganism for humans. We look at the destruction on the planet and we look at the animal suffering across the globe and we want to do something about that. Cats, on the other hand, their instinct isn't to factory farm, by the way. Their instinct is to hunt. And so by feeding a cat a vegan kibble, you are placing your own human ethics over top of the cat's natural and most healthy diet.
And the other thing, like I already said, he did the same when commenting on Peter Singer, but even worse so. Instead of one particular argument that Singer has made, Eisel says that nothing Singer has ever said has swayed him or inspired him. Everything he has to say regarding veganism and animal ethics is stupid. So he is essentially painting an entire person's career and contribution to something very meaningful as meaningless without bothering to explain why. This is concerning to me mostly because of what I think it says about the way that Eisel views his viewers and his influence. As I asked in the email, did it not occur to you that people may take you at your word, particularly those who like you enough to give you money? Remember, this video originally was only for patrons, people who give him money on a monthly basis. I go on to say, you are growing a following here on YouTube. Please be aware of the potential power your words hold and act accordingly. And if we encourage people to just trust us, to just believe what we say is true, that our argument is right, end of story, and that their argument is wrong, end of story, we run the risk of people treating anything we say as gospel. We are basically encouraging people to do so. And this has very real and very serious consequences. I just watched a video that the Vegan Cheetah brought attention to where a man was convinced by Durian Rider to get a vasectomy. He is now regretting it, and he will have to pay thousands of dollars for a reversal, if a reversal is even possible in his situation. Of course, I'm not saying Eisel is going to encourage people to undergo life-altering, procedures or give up on higher education to pursue a YouTube career or any of the other crazy stuff that Harley promotes. Although, given his misguided views on pet domestication and how supposedly easy it is for animals previously living in captivity to revert to their feral nature if released into the wild, it's possible that somebody would believe this to be true and actually released, their pet into the wild, where it would most assuredly die. The effects of throwing intellectual honesty to the wind and giving into cult mentality are unpredictable, but almost always negative. And the negative effects, these negative effects of fandoms, echo chambers, cults, whatever you want to call them, it runs both ways. The person encouraging such situations is also very likely going to be negatively affected by the results. Again, we can look to Harley and even Freely, both of whom appear to have changed significantly since becoming popular on YouTube with their 30 bad, Ralto 4 lifestyles. I'm not suggesting that this is where Eisel and his channel are headed. Obviously, I have no clue. I'm simply stating that someone who sees no issue with painting an argument as stupid without explaining why Who sees no issue with painting a person as uninspiring, with nothing of value to say without explaining why. And who sees no issue with providing incomplete information so that viewers are forced to have faith that what he's saying is true. That such a person comes across to me as someone who isn't concerned about the potential for fanaticism and echo chambers. The fact that I expressed this concern in my email and that he didn't even bother to address it in his video response, that speaks volumes to me. In addition, this is not the only time that Aizel has exhibited this type of behavior. Just one example, I'm a member of the Skeptic Vegan discussion group on Facebook. It's a closed group. And someone a few weeks ago referenced a thread that Aizel had started about Buddhism and meditation like about a year ago. So I checked it out, and Aizel, he shares, in the thread, he shares a video that he made about the topic, about meditation, Buddhism. A couple people disagreed with his view, and instead of countering their arguments, Aizel insulted them and then left the group. I'm not sharing the thread with you because it is, again, a closed group, and Aizel also did not wish for me to share it with you. However, you can see it for yourself by asking to join the group and getting approved to join the group, which I do actually recommend that you do because it is an awesome, awesome vegan group. As I already mentioned, many have voiced the same concerns with regard to Aizel's dismissal of arguments. It is kind of funny to me how so many people who did not see my email response managed to understand my viewpoint completely, and yet the one person who did see my email response completely missed the point and misrepresented me in his video. And that's it. That's why I no longer recommend à-bas-le-ciel.
À-bas-le-ciel.
At this point, I am probably just restating the obvious to let you know that every single thing Unnatural Vegan says in the sequence of that argument is to some extent misleading and to some extent an outright lie. Most generally, she claims again and again that I never, made videos with commentary or analysis on the two topics she's complaining about: philosophy of Peter Singer and the ownership of domesticated pets, feeding meat to pets, castrating pets, declawing pets, those types of issues. Now, even if I didn't present any counter-argument or screenshots of videos, that wouldn't make a lot of sense, because why would she be angry at me and disagreeing with me if I had never said anything on those topics? If the only statement I'd ever made was the short clip she presents of my saying that her point of view is not worthy of debate, is not worth responding to. Do you really think that was the one thing I said? Do you think that's all she's responding to? And then I refused to discuss with her. Do you think she offered to discuss with me? She keeps implying that I somehow shut down or avoided a conversation with her. Do you think she offered to talk to me on Skype, to do a dialogue, to record a podcast or a video of us debating? Really? Has she ever done that once with anyone? Do you think she offered to do that with me on a topic like this that she was obviously, bent out of shape about? Is that what you imagine happened? It's misleading on so many ways and on so many levels. Obviously, at that time, I already had substantive videos stating what my views were about Peter Singer and about pet ownership. And even within that video she quotes, you could tell if you just watch that short clip where I'm contemptuously dismissing the views of the people I disagree with, you can tell I'm about to go on to say more about why I disagree with them. What do you think? Then I just switched the topic and started talking about Star Wars? And what do you think happens to the rest of that video? But moreover, I had uploaded right at that time. She took quite a while to make that response video, and she had emailed me repeatedly indicating that she wasn't just going to respond to what I'd say. She was going to demolish me. She was going to try to destroy and blacken my character on YouTube. And how did she communicate this? In these private emails that, again, nobody has seen except her and I. She didn't just tell me that she was going to use this conversation from Facebook that she used, that she alludes to us having this my having dared to have a conversation in a Facebook group about meditation. Me, someone who has peer-reviewed articles, who had more than 10 years as a scholar of Buddhism, who learned the Pali language, who lived in Southeast Asia, me, someone who has meditated even in the company of famous Buddhist monks, both in Asia and in the Western world. I have all kinds of experience and depth of knowledge of that, book learning and so on. and that I would dare to make these comments in a Facebook group. This was going to be used to blacken my character. How this blackens my character, I mean, you can see the way she presented it. Makes it sound like I'm a terrible person. Does that really make me a terrible person, Swayze? Again, this line of criticism makes no sense. She also sent me links to, I forget if it was links or screenshots, but comments in public chat groups of people saying I'm a piece of crap because of my scholarship on Buddhism. Now, yes, there are chat groups of people saying this to me, but I wrote back to her saying, look, this is really unethical. Why would you defame me this way? I have peer-reviewed, publications on Buddhist philosophy. I'll send you the links, or I sent whatever I sent, whether links or screenshots or citations. I said, why don't you read at least one of my papers before going public and demolishing me as some kind of phony and fraud in terms of Buddhist scholarship? This is not true at all. This is not reasonable. Now, of course, she had no interest in doing that. I'm guessing that what I wrote back to her there, because I did write repeatedly, I wouldn't say they were long messages, but they were quite forceful, saying, look, put yourself in my position. What if you had done years of work as a scholar, and then a YouTuber defamed and denounced you in this way, the way she had told me she was going to? So she let me know in advance, and it was long enough in advance, that I made, as I recall, 2 substantive videos directly speaking on the topics she's complaining I hadn't said anything about. Now, of course, I had talked about those in earlier videos, including the Q&A videos up to that time, which is what sparked this initial controversy. And you guys, you know me. I've just shown you a whole bunch of screenshots. These are not issues I would hold my tongue on. So this is the first step of her misleading you. The fundamental complaint she has against me that I'm unethical is allegedly that I just came on camera and said, feeding dead cows to cats is a bad idea, castrating your dog is a bad idea, and Peter Singer's philosophy is lousy. Well, if I had said that, so what? I mean, is that really so shocking? But of course, as you guys know, that is not all I've said. I've spoken at great length, and I've provided reasoning and citations and sources and talked these things through. Now, again, you guys probably didn't have time to read it, so let's just go really quickly. I had a brief quotation about what my view is on Peter Singer. Most of you who are under the age of 50 will not even know the name Peter Singer. He's not that big a deal anymore, but he was a big deal decades ago. Now, I quoted from Gary Francione's website, quote, Peter Singer does not think that it is necessarily a problem that we use non-humans for human purposes, because he does not regard the killing of animals as necessarily immoral. He doesn't necessarily regard the eating of meat as immoral. He makes excuses for eating meat, drinking cow milk, etc., etc. And so does a natural vegan. According to Singer, animals, with the exception of non-human great apes and perhaps a few other species, are not self-aware and do not really care that we use them, but only about how we use them. This leads Singer to say that it may be morally acceptable to be conscientious omnivores if we are careful to eat only animals who have been raised and killed in a humane manner. Okay? So why would it be surprising or shocking that she has this clip of me out of context saying that I have nothing but contempt for the philosophy of Peter Singer? Why would that be surprising if you can quote me saying that, or Gary Francione saying that, or Ingrid Newkirk, or any other vegan? Why would it be surprising? Why would this be something to blacken? I don't even feel this is criticism. You're right. You're damn right. I've come out loud and proud and clear and said my philosophy and Peter Singer's philosophy are totally incompatible. But the argument she pins onto this is that I am somehow a dangerous cult leader. I'm engaging in the cult mentality in a manner similar to Durian Rider. I edited down that part of her video. She goes on for quite some length about how Durian Rider started off being okay and then drifted into being a dangerous cult leader. Then I'm somehow in an echo chamber appealing for people to believe what I have to say on faith, and that I'm a dangerous and terrible person in the same way as Durian Rider and Freely. Why? Because I'm actually vegan? Because I openly say that making excuses for happy meat, for humane slaughter, for the eating of meat and keeping of animals in captivity and so on Peter Singer's model, that really doesn't impress me? And again, because you took that clip out of context and then claimed that I've never, before or since, explained at length my position on Peter Singer. And not only have I explained it, I invited someone onto my channel who was pro Peter Singer, and we debated it or discussed it, on camera. She very rapidly folded her cards and basically admitted that she 90% doesn't agree with what Peter Singer says on any of these issues. Likewise, within the last 2 years, I've seen Unnatural Vegan have to dial back her support for Peter Singer, and I've had videos discussing that she's kind of in a hypocritical way said that she somehow never really knew what it was Peter Singer supported back when she supported him so passionately. Now look, obviously her argument against me is so incoherent that it is based on emotion, and that's the part of the story I can sympathize with. Obviously, she was someone who had such a strong emotional attachment to either the philosophy of Peter Singer or the justifications and excuses she has for castrating animals, feeding a pet cat meat, keeping, her pet cat and so on. Obviously, she has so much emotional attachment to one or the other of these issues, or both, that she responded in a way that was completely based on emotion. I note that at this time that she made this video, she was pregnant and her pregnancy was still secret. So, she probably was in a tough spot emotionally in a bunch of different ways. I didn't know she was pregnant at this point, nor did much of anyone else. Whatever bizarre, autobiographical circumstances, created this emotional breakdown on her end, all I can say is I've come out here on YouTube and I've talked about substantive issues that really matter to vegans in a substantive way. And how dare you? How dare you say that I'm the leader of a dangerous echo chamber or cult? How dare you say I'm engaging in the cult mentality? How dare you blacken my character on these vague insinuations about something I said about meditation? How dare you? You dragged my name through the mud in the most dishonest way imaginable with circular and incoherent reasoning, when all I said was, yeah, killing a cow to feed it to your cat is just as morally bad as killing a cow to feed it to your son or daughter or husband or wife. I don't see a difference. Hashtag speciesism. When I said, yeah, you know what, this Peter Singer guy, not really vegan, which is the same thing Gary Francione and every single abolitionist vegan, every single real vegan has always said, in contrast to Swayze. All right? So you think I stuck my neck out on some dangerous issues here? Not really. I didn't do anything too bold or provocative, but you can see just how easily Swayze gets provoked, and that's because Swayze, deep down inside, is living a lie. She is what we would simply call a fake vegan. Swayze, you're a parasite on this movement. Just give it up. Change your name to Unnatural, Semi-Plant-Based Lying Hypocrite. Do us all a favor. And I'm so happy for you that you're feeding your children and paying your rent and paying your mortgage off of the backs of the vegan movement, but I'd really prefer that you did it without defaming me. If anyone in this situation is comparable to Durian Rider, it's not me, honey. It's you.
À-bas-le-ciel.